What's going on, guys? This is Christian Anto with Elite FTS and Ileana Power Asylum, back with you to put another installment out of the free programming series. So we have looked at GPP, we have looked at off-season stuff for a powerlifter, we have looked at hypertrophy. Now we're going to get into a little bit more complex programming. I want to talk about triphasic and the contrast method. Now, Cal Dietz's book, Triphasic Training, again, I have, in multiple different blog posts, said that this is one of the best books that I ever read. And cracking it back open to go over these concepts again was just, it's awesome. It's awesome to read and get refreshed on all that. So let's talk about it a little bit. French contrast method. Ironically, like I talk about in the blog post, is a combination of two methodologies, which kind of falls in line and is a little bit funny because if you followed my last training cycle, it was the mixture of conjugate and triphasic, trying to bring them together in the same program to reap the benefits of both methodologies. French contrast method is no different. It is going to be the combination of the complex method and contrast method. Now, both of these methods are similar but different. So in the complex method, your athlete or client or yourself, depending on what you're training for, you would complete a heavy compound movement, and then you would, which would be about 80% of your one rep max, 80% or higher, followed by a plyometric jump exercise. Now, you've possibly heard of post-activation potentiation, or PAP, whatever, however you want to shorten it. That is a form of PAP, okay? The contrast training method is maximal or near maximal lift, 80 to 97%, followed by a drop set performed at 50 to 70% of the one rep max. Now, both of those methodologies, complex method and contrast method, you might see often in a conjugate style of training. Max effort movement, and then the secondary movement is a drop down set. A box jump and then a max effort movement, or a max effort movement and then a box jump, all while in a conjugate style setup. Okay? And I try and pound this into everybody's head. None of these concepts are new. All of these concepts are old, have been around forever and a day, and are just being implemented together in different ways. The French contrast method is taking both of those, okay, a heavy movement, a plyometric, down sets, and bringing them all together, but it's adding a different component to it. So, French contrast method. You are going to take a heavy compound exercise, 80 to 90%. Then you're going to take a plyometric jump. Then you're going to take a drop set or a weighted jump. And then you're going to do a plyometric or accelerated plyometric. So, after you take those four components, and Cal Dietz's book, Triphasic Training, even talks about this, on your first take of that, surface value, it literally looks like you're just combining those two. And the book states the physiological and neural adaptations that you get from combining all of those in a circuit style. What I mean by that is you are doing all of these in order, back to back to back to back. There is no rest period. Your rest period comes in between circuits, okay? And it requires high rates of force output or force production. And that's why this system works really well for athletes. And like I said in the blog post, putting these together is some of the most fun I've had as a coach with the equipment that I had available to me, and it made me work, it made me think, and it made me use exercises and pick exercises that were applicable to my athlete. Now, I took some of my own initiative and tried to adjust a few things with the plyometrics and weighted plyometrics that you'll see in the program. because I liked having a progression. After these progressions, something would always be added in. So I talk about changing a plyometric or the weighted plyometric. The first phase, it was using the athlete's body weight and moving it to add momentum, and that was my added weight for that plyometric, because the next phase they'd be holding a med ball and then releasing that med ball, so that med ball would then be their added weight for the weighted plyometric. So that was my interpretation that I changed a little bit, because I didn't just want them to do the exact same weighted box jump over and over again. Now, that's not to say you can do plenty of weighted jumps without a box using other implements. This is just the way that I decided to do it on week 1 through 2 out of a 6 to 9 week triphasic French contrast combination method in their eccentric phase. Now, mind you, you can run triphasic in either a 6-week time lapse or a 9-week time lapse. That's what's suggested. With my athletes, I usually ran it through a 6-week time lapse because I didn't have a lot of time with them, as most of you know. But this is also, anyone can benefit from this. You don't just have to be an athlete to run this French contrast method. A year or so ago, I saw John Meadows doing this in his hypertrophy programming, of using all of these explosive movements as potential primers and getting him ready for the rest of his workout, and he had a lot of good things to say about it. I've seen it work with athletes, I've seen it work with powerlifters. So if you have any questions regarding French contrast or regarding triphasic, please don't hesitate to reach out. You can get a hold of me at my email at 19canto85@gmail.com. You can go on my blog and ask questions. You can go on my Instagram, ANT_TOE, or you can find me on Facebook. I'll talk to you guys later.